So let me explain my title briefly. I rewatched a video Andreas Antonopolous at Silicon Valley Ethereum Meetup, and I'll put a link to it, where he says his talk is titled The Lion and the Shark, where Andreas, who is a rock star prophet, and I'll put that in there too, refers to Bitcoin as the lion and Ethereum as the shark. I previously mentioned in the past video that the Bitcoin lion, I think, stepped on the ranker pit door, fell into a shark pit, and now it's getting nibbled. But in a different video, he also said money fled to Ethereum instead of out into dollars during a Bitcoin panic. And he found that fascinating, and so do I. And it's true. Bitcoin has become the volatile gamble, and Ethereum is now the safe haven when you want to retreat from the chaos. But the market cap isn't being determined by people like Andreas or Vitalik. It's determined by development and industry attracting value, and by technological morons like me putting money into the system. And I can't tell if Bitcoin does anything better than Ethereum from my point of view right now, but I am aware that Ethereum will become even more, a much more robust, capable platform. Anyway, in his Ethereum conference video, he did a Google search, Bitcoin is, and Ethereum is, and Google suggests dead. And if you watch his videos, he usually does this, and it is humorous. It's cool. So he did his recurring, and I'll paraphrase, Bitcoin died, it's a zombie currency, and its obituary has been written 100 times, and they both keep coming back, you can't knock them out, so both have this in common and are consistently underestimated. And I agree with that entirely. But to which I respond, yup, Ethereum's in good company because Ethereum's in Ethereum's company. And I mean, I've also previously stated what I think on that, and I'll put a link for interested parties. But I did a search to see myself what Google says. So I put in Bitcoin is, no space, number 1, Bitcoin is dead. Number 2, Bitcoin issues. Number 3, Bitcoin is, and no suggestion for me anyway. So, I mean, Bitcoin is nothing, void, hollowed out, the abyss for your money. No, I'm just kidding, Bitcoin. But Ethereum is, no space, Ethereum is dead. Number 2 was Ethereum is the future. So, like a horoscope, I mean, interpret this how you will, but I will choose to see it in a positive light. So, Ethereum is the future. I also tried rock music is, and Google suggested dead. So maybe the internet just likes suggesting things are dead. But moving on, credit cards and banks are slow. Like, I want adoption of cryptos now. I mean, no cards. How sweet would that be? Like, no cumbersome packs of plastic, which I don't understand why cards are as big as they are anyway, and it seems like a really old technology that just got locked in. I mean, like Andreas has commented on that, it's like they trace back to like the 1950s, even their modern roots. But, and maybe wallets are outmoded now too. I mean, if you can have a bank with an easily accessible, visible balance in your pocket, I mean, maybe there's a couple credit services to develop yet, but I don't think that would be that hard. And if I thought it would do anything, I mean, I'd consider writing a letter to like Morgan Chase. I mean, now they're part of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, and e-banking takes a frickin' year. I mean, coin liquidity is awe-inspiring. I mean, once you're exposed, you can't unknow. I mean, I can't anyway. I mean, why does it take days to post, then like 3 or 4 more for payment to clear when it's all electronic? I mean, come on active weekends to remember what payments and activities going on. It's basically back to balancing paper checkbooks if you want to know your available funds, which is basically going back to writs and charts and I'll make me mark and seal the parchment. I mean, how about I use light speed technology of electric data to buy something and pay for it, and I have just bought something and paid for it? I mean, why is that idea so awesome and revolutionary? Why aren't we there yet? And now that we are and we can, why hasn't it spread like wildfire? And to that last, I think it will. I mean, if you're buying something that needs dispute resolution or build in an escrow service or something, that doesn't seem that hard. These dudes can figure these questions out a lot better than I can, so I'm not going to be an idiot and try and posit on that. But I'll post another link to a different Antonopolous video, like where he talks about that. And it sounds like a smart contract could do anything like that, at least as well, if not better, than Bitcoin. But anyway, I just know conditions could be a lot better for us, the consumers in these sectors, right now. And as far as Bitcoin going up again, which it still hasn't hit 1,200 yet, which I mentioned in a past video, it actually rose faster than I thought. But I think anybody who bought at 12 to 1,300 will sell around there because they lost a lot of money and want it back. And this time, I think Bitcoin's rise is just, again, just more hype about this fork and maybe a myth of supply and demand. I would say don't get suckered by hype or be greedy. I mean, this seems to me to be another hype pump before an event, with Bitcoin being like version 10.20 or something. I mean, if you remember the last halving, I mean, it was slow up and then tanked before the event. I mean, the ETF, it went up and then tanked at the event. I mean, now at the fork, it's heading up. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, I don't see after the fork, no matter what the solution is, I don't see it rocketing up. I don't. I see it going down. And then it will take more time to recover, and more people are going to lose their money if you get suckered into that hype cycle. And now I think times are different. I think recoveries for Bitcoin will be slower and slower as people transfer to other options, which are just recently becoming available, which I started at the beginning. I mean, a panic in Bitcoin, you flee into Ethereum. I mean, so this means, yeah, if people flee to Ethereum during Bitcoin crashes, then go back to Bitcoin when it picks up again on another bull streak, and it is a bull streak in my opinion, but Bitcoin will go down again, and when people panic, and they will, and the Bitcoin price will panic tank again, I think, Ethereum is going up again. So an impending crash for Bitcoin is an impending surge for Ethereum and a couple others out there. And for those about to pounce and use my own title logic there, the thing is, it doesn't all go back to Bitcoin anymore. It flows out. Then it trickles back increasingly less. And Bitcoin lost like $5 billion in a couple days a month ago now, and it's still 1.5 billion away from a $20 billion market cap. And right before that ETF, it was like 21 or a little higher. I don't remember, but it was higher than 20. And that was all hype before a crash again, which fled to Ethereum, and it hasn't all gone back. I mean, Ethereum is now at a permanent in the 40s going up range. And I mean, yeah, it's going back on a month for Bitcoin to hit 1,200, which I mentioned is probably going to be a resistance level, but I hope it does. It gets more attention for Ethereum and all cryptos, plus the announcement of more enterprise members. But Ethereum's looking good. The little dip in the price back in the 40s, I think, is a last chance to swoop it up before I think will be another permanent value improvement.